And joining us now to discuss that and more is UW Health's Chief Quality Officer, Dr. Jeff Pothof. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, guys.
There's a difference between a cardiac arrest and a heart attack.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that a heart attack is what causes cardiac arrest, and it certainly can. But typically in situations like this with Bronny James, it's not so much a heart attack where a blood vessel is closed off and that causes the heart to stop. It usually has more to do with an electrical disturbance. The electricity that tells the heart when to beat, that gets kind of off whack, and then your heart doesn't beat, also causes cardiac arrest.
Is this something that other parents out there might be like, oh, this could happen to my kid, and that you don't want to go down that rabbit hole of worry?
Right, it's certainly not common, so it's not like this happens a lot, although it does sometimes happen. Some kids are more at risk of it. Young people who have an enlarged heart, something called cardiomyopathy, would be more likely to have this electrical disturbance. But at the same time, sometimes it just happens randomly, but thankfully not commonly.
This happened to another student at USC last year, or 2 years ago, on the basketball court.
Yeah, it sounds like the medical crew there had a bit of experience treating this, and we do typically see it when it happens. It happens when these kids are exerting themselves, so it's not like they're just, walking down the street. This happens. Usually it's in the setting of exercise or exertion where this will sometimes happen. The heart will go into a rhythm that doesn't pump blood, and then time is of the essence at that point. Typically, if you can defibrillate the heart, so kind of like send electricity through the heart, kind of reset it, kind of like you do your computer, the heart will start beating normally. As long as that time is short, then you don't have, death of brain cells and things like that.
And he wasn't in the ICU very long. That's a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime this would happen to someone, they would typically go to the ICU for observation, kind of monitor how that heart is doing. The fact that he's out of the ICU so quickly is a really good sign.
So we should see him back on the court then, hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon.
All right, with this hot weather, we have heat stroke and heat exhaustion. There's two different things.
Absolutely. So they're kind of like a gradation. So you kind of start with heat exhaustion. That's the less severe form of heat-related illness, and that'll typically start with, feel a little lightheaded. Maybe I feel dizzy. Now I'm feeling like maybe I could pass out, or I've got some muscle cramps, and those are kind of like your early warning signs. So when you start feeling that, it's important not to just push through, because if you push through and don't get cooled off or don't drink fluids, you can enter a state of heat stroke. And the number one thing that kind of differentiates heat stroke and heat exhaustion is your mental status. So people with heat exhaustion, like, they know what's going on, they're kind of with it. Once you start getting into heat stroke, you get pretty confused. You're not sure what's going on. You can almost become comatose. The other thing that's interesting is when people go into heat stroke, sometimes their sweating mechanism shuts down. So people who had a heat exhaustion, they're sweating profusely. Once they get into heat stroke, eventually, once that temperature climbs above 104 degrees, sweating will stop. They'll actually be hot and dry instead of hot and sweaty.
So those are the warning signs to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of times if you're kind of early heat exhaustion, you can manage that if you get out of the environment, drink fluids. Once you're getting towards heat stroke, you need to call 911. Those people need to be treated in the hospital.
So it's all about taking precautions, even though this is going to be a short-lived heat wave in a sense, but it can only take like a second.
It's all about planning. Just make sure it's going to be extra hot and have that plan in place so that you aren't pushing through or keeping going when really your body is not tolerating it.
Drink water before you're thirsty.
Yes.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, stay cool.
Yeah, you too.
We'll try. It's nice and cool in here.
Yeah, nice in here.